Stanford University.
Hi, I'm Wiley Howsam. I'm the director of Stanford Live and Bing Concert Hall, and welcome to Open Office Hours at Bing Concert Hall. Henry on Facebook would like to know how many students on average attend Stanford Live and Bing Concert Hall events. And the answer is about 20% of our audience is students, and we make a really strong effort to make sure that we get as many students as that. And overall, last year in 2013, about 5,600 students attended. Henry also wants to know, how do we attract non-art students to our events? And we do it through a variety of means, and we're trying to invent new means all the time. One way is to do the usual social media, Facebook. We have a group called SLAM, Stanford Live Ambassadors, and they reach out to students directly often. We work through the dorms and Student Life, and we distribute tickets through the dorms. And we poster and email and work with other organizations like Stanford Concert Network, so we try a million ways. So Thomas on Facebook asks, how diverse are the performances throughout the season? We try to make them as diverse and eclectic as we possibly can. On the other hand, we want things to sound wonderful in Bing Concert Hall, and it's a very specific acoustic. So there's a wide range of classical music, chamber music, recitals, orchestras, ancient music. But we're also branching more and more into jazz, world music. We had a rock band here last year. We recently had this kind of electronica guy, Phosphorescent. And then we're gradually getting back to our original mission, which is as a multi-arts presenter. So we also will do dance, mostly at Mem Awd. We're doing several dance works this year, and we're also going to get back into theater. So we are attempting to be as diverse as we can be. So Thomas also asks, how do students have an opportunity to hold performances in the hall? We've devised a method of working with Nancy Howe in the Office of Student Activities. She oversees all the clubs, the officially chartered student clubs, and she's helping us kind of interface with students to figure out which groups would succeed in here and would have a large enough audience to make it all seem appropriate and successful. So I guess I would urge you to reach out to her, and then she'll reach out to us, and then we'll engage in a conversation with you about how we can make your performance happen. So Lucas on Facebook asks, why should the arts be a part of every student's life? And I think you probably know that this is the first year that the creative expression requirement has been added to the undergraduate curriculum. And so you can see that Stanford believes that putting the arts at the center of an undergraduate education is essential and probably key to success in the future. Creativity is, you know, computers can do almost everything else, but creativity is a thing that only a human being can do, and the arts are a way of tapping into that creativity and expanding your creativity. So Renee on Facebook asks, I hope I can get this question correct, how have the arts possibly suffered from the technological renaissance that we've experienced lately, and how might they have taken advantage of that? And I think it is both. I think that there was a period when technology seemed to make some of the live arts seem a little irrelevant or a little bit old-fashioned, but actually, as we've gotten farther and farther into this period, what we've discovered is that the access to technology has enabled a lot of people to become much more creative through technology and to distribute it that way. And at the same time, they're seeking a kind of a respite from technology that coming into a concert hall like this really offers you. You can just shut down everything and experience the music. So it goes in both directions, but I think that in the long run, it's been very good for the arts. This kind of DIY movement that's happened over the last 10 years could never have happened before the internet and before digital technology that everyone can own and manipulate. And so there's an extraordinary increase in that, and it has changed what audiences are looking for when they come into a space. They want something a little more interactive. They want something where they can participate. And we presenters of the arts are learning how we adjust what we do to include people in a way that we never did before. But to give you another specific example and to use this hall, so we're sitting in a hall that is surrounded by enormous kind of blank canvases that we call sails. we can fill those sails up with a kind of an immersive video that will go alongside a concert, and suddenly you have a completely different experience, and yet it's still essentially musical. There aren't actually many halls in the world that can do this, so it's sort of a unique example, but I can't wait to explore all of this, and we're going to start doing some of this sound plus sight stuff very soon. Yeah, you may have noticed that it's not that easy to connect to a network inside the concert hall. It wasn't intentional. It's because of the very thick walls that create the sound isolation. But we've found nobody's complaining. I think they like getting away from all of the technology and the networks for a couple of hours and just being with the music and with each other. So Moise on Facebook wants to know what changes and innovations we anticipate in music over the next 50 years. I wish I were brilliant enough to answer that question and be in any way accurate. Because, I mean, if you think back on how much it's changed over the last 50 years, it's a completely different world. The recording industry got upended. It basically doesn't have a viable business model anymore. The concert live touring business kind of came back after the recording industry went somewhat dormant. I mean, it could be, I think the more things change, the more they stay the same. And so there will probably always be live music where people gather together to connect in a fairly non-technological way. But we could also, the next step to downloading may be our brains connected to an enormous server that has, or coming through Google Glass, or who knows what it could be. But I don't think music will ever go away. I think it's more important to people than it ever has been, and more people than ever want to participate in it. So it's a bright future.